Welcome back to the Art of MMA. I am your host, Amal Thompson, and I am back with,
Roger.
yes, sir. And UFC fight night, first fight night on Paramount is concluded. Um, Early thoughts. What did you think about it?
Um, it was good. It was it
Sounded a
was
little bit
okay.
hesitant on that one.
It was a good one for people who were, like we said before, who were trying to make a name for themselves, or trying to keep their career alive.
Mhm.
Um, and so from that perspective, it was good. Saw some pretty good fights. Saw a lot of one-sided fights.
Mhm.
Um, Main event was a dud.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
you know,
No, no.
he just didn't. So, overall, it was okay. I wouldn't say it was a great one, but it wasn't a terrible one either. So,
Yeah, I
it
wouldn't
was
call it
one of the
terrible.
kind of low to mid level ones, I would say. Not the one Dana wanted to start off with.
Definitely not. I think things got off to a decent start. The prelims, or call it the early prelims, had some fun fights on there. Claudia Segula versus Priscilla Cachoeira.
Yeah. Oh,
Priscilla
that was a good
Cachoeira
one.
walks out to Zombie. If anybody remembers our boy, uh, the Korean Zombie, who kind of
Uh-huh.
made that walkout song very iconic and popular. Priscilla walks out to that as well, and I understand why, because she
Yes.
aimlessly walks into punches
Mm.
and doesn't stop.
She doesn't. She doesn't. She
um,
gets hit.
she's not really putting their hands up much either. Like
Mm-mm.
how zombies is kind of like, I don't know if you're a Walking Dead fan or how many zombie
Yeah.
movies you've watched, but there's different layers of zombies. There's that World War Z zombie. There's that I Am Legend zombie, and then there's the Walking Dead version where they're kind of just strolling forward and
Mm-hmm.
swaying. Priscilla's that strolling forward and swaying.
Yeah.
She eats punches, and Segula, funny enough, didn't look bad. Had good ring. I was about to say ring like she's a boxer, but good cage management. And I feel
Yeah.
like she plays the
Yeah,
distance
she did.
very well. Quick movements in and out. Still found
Mm-hmm.
herself in exchanges that I was a little bit worried about, especially in the third round.
Yeah.
When Priscilla was putting her foot on the gas a little bit, still walking aimlessly into punches, but at least now throwing
Mm-hmm.
hands
Mm-hmm.
with it. Um, I won't say I was like overly impressed by Segula. I will say she looked better than the women's fight we watched the previous week with Rose
Yes.
and
The
Silva.
women's fights on this were better
Good
than that.
women, good
Yeah.
women's fights. Areas for improvement for both of those fights, but I
Mm-hmm.
was heavily impressed by both you know bouts.
Yeah.
I think Segula needs a striker who will challenge her a little bit more on the feet.
Mm-hmm.
I do want her. I feel like if they were in the same weight class, which Eduarda Mora
Yeah.
had to catch weight with Wang Kong, I'd be interested to see Mora versus Segula. I don't know how far they are in actual weight classes. But Mora impressed me, not to jump ahead, with her
Yeah.
durability, and she
Mm-hmm.
challenges people on the ground, so that'd be fun to watch. But Segula gets the win, as I thought would happen,
Yeah.
because again, she's just a little bit too slick, a little bit too a little bit too quick. And Priscilla, she's taken a lot of damage over the last few years. I don't
Yeah.
know if you remembered, but I saw it on my feed today. She had a fight with Valentina Shevchenko. Valentina Shevchenko outstruck her. I think it was 238 significant strikes to 3.
Gosh.
Like, you put that type of damage on,
Yeah.
talk about not really like aiming for a viable future, especially in the
Yeah.
UFC. Not even to talk
Yeah.
about outside of the UFC, but you're taking a lot of wear and tear. You're never
A
going to be the
lot
same
of
after that
wear and
type of
tear.
fight. Um, she fought a very similar fight. Had her
Yeah.
moments, but clearly a Segula win. What did you see?
Segula definitely won that fight. What won it for her was her precision. She was a very precise striker. I didn't see her throw many shots um, where she wasn't landing. She was very precise, especially in the later rounds. She seemed to get better as the fight went on, and that could have been because she's worn down her opponent so much. I was wrong about the outcome of this fight, but I was right that Priscilla was not going to give up. She was going to have a fight. She was going to keep coming, and
Mhm.
she was gonna just have that dog in her to keep going, and she did. And but I was really impressed with Segula's accuracy. Um, and her toughness, because she got hit too. She got hit a few
She
times
did get
too,
tagged a couple times,
and
yeah.
she didn't give up. She didn't go down. She didn't really back away. She just kept fighting her fight, and she did really good.
I'm worried about her standing in front of
Segula's
somebody a little bit
precision,
more skilled for sure, though.
or even more heavy handed.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, she's ready for the next opponent up, the next level opponent. And I don't know if she's ranked now, but she probably should be approaching that soon.
No, for sure. I think she should be approaching ranking in that division. Priscilla, I think, should be hanging it up here.
Yeah,
It's
probably.
getting bad. You don't want it to get to the point where it's too bad.
I think that
Um,
makes 4 fights in a row she's lost.
yeah, and it hasn't been pretty.
Yeah, she's had
It's
a
a lot
tough
of
fight every
damage.
time.
A
She's an
lot of
entertaining
damage.
fighter, though. She's an entertaining fighter. We'll say that a few times tonight for people that lost, but
Entertaining.
she was an entertaining fighter that lost. So,
She allows for action to happen, even if it's at the detriment of
yes,
her health. If that's
yes,
what we're calling entertaining, which
yes.
it is what it
I
is.
mean,
Um, you gotta play your role, I guess, right?
yeah.
These next two guys were electric as well. I have questions on fight IQ for sure from both, but Nguyen Gafarov versus Jacob Wiklax. I think we both take Jacob? I think we both took Jacob.
I'm not sure.
I don't remember.
That I took him,
Yeah.
but I don't know if you took him or not.
Um,
Um, what you think?
Jacob has some fight IQ questions, man. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, he does. I love the activity. I love the length. I love the um jab, the kicks, the eventual
Mm-hmm.
ground game, the durability. Because Gafarov was putting on
Yeah.
a bit of a, I don't want to say masterclass, but was working the body back into the second, pretty much all of the
Yeah.
third, to try to get his way back into the fight.
Yeah.
You could argue that Gaffrey would have won on the cards. I know they came back and saw that the judges had it going to Jacob regardless.
Yeah.
But I think Gaffrey was doing enough, in my opinion, where I would have swayed to pick him to win the fight if it went to decision.
Mm-hmm.
He has worse fight IQ than Jacob, which I feel like is hard based on what I was watching. Like neither
Yeah.
guy knew what to do to prevent themselves from losing, I feel like.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Nguyen working the body looked like he potentially could have Jacob on the back foot and then shoots. And it wasn't the first time in the third round he did that. He had like 3 moments where he was winning on the feet,
Mm-hmm.
and then he's like, "Let me try to wrap up."
Yeah.
No, I know that's probably your first instinct, but like,
Yeah.
you are winning in the striking game. You are working the body. You're getting some damage. You look more active. You're the pursuer. Keep that up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He essentially puts his head into a headlock. They get to
Yeah.
the ground, and if I'm not mistaken, was it a rear naked choke?
No, it was a guillotine.
Guillotine choke, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was watching closely because I might have had something on the fight not going the distance, and I was like, did he tap? Because it looked like he
Oh,
tapped, and it
he
was the
did.
inadvertent arm. It's not like the arm that he was trying to tap with. Like I think what got like rewatching it a couple times, he was getting forced to clench down on his mouthpiece.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
that was uncomfortable. He was trying to reach in his mouth to take his mouthpiece out.
Mm-hmm. It was a weird situation. I
Yeah,
was like, is he
and
trying to get his mouthpiece out?
yeah,
And then I
because
saw his other hand tap, and then I saw the bell, and I was like, he tapped.
he
They gotta
definitely
call it.
tapped.
They gotta
I,
call it.
I think if he was able to remove his mouthpiece, which is that a tap? Like
No, no.
I think he couldn't get it out, and the discomfort made him tap with the inverted hand.
Do you think he panicked a little because he
Oh
couldn't get it
yeah,
out?
because he
Mm.
couldn't get it out, and I'm assuming he couldn't breathe. He wanted to spit the mouthpiece out so he could get a little bit
Yeah,
of gust of air. He couldn't get it out. He tapped with the invert hand, and then immediately went to tapping with the right hand at the bell.
yeah.
I've never seen anything like that. Um, I think Jacob is due for a jumping competition, but it worries me. the
Yeah.
the fight
Yeah.
IQ of him. But it was a fantastic fight. I'll say
Yeah.
that. I enjoyed
hmm
watching every second of that fight, even though I had a ton of questions coming in and out of that fight.
Yeah.
What about you?
All right. You are not the only one who thought that um that Muin won that fight. Um I think a lot of people watching that fight thought that he was about to win that fight. I did have it,
Hmm.
I think, one round apiece going into that third round, and I thought
Hmm.
they were pretty decisive rounds actually. But I guess the judges didn't agree with me on that one. And I thought
Or me.
Muin was winning that third round,
Hmm.
and so I knew I had called it for Wicklicks, and when he's jumped that guillotine, I was like, "Oh my
He loved to
gosh."
jump the
And then I
yeah.
saw it was so tight, but it was less than 10 seconds left. I was like, "He's gonna survive. He's gonna survive." And then
I
he
thought he was
started
gonna
reaching in
survive
his
too.
mouth, and I saw that hand tap. I was jumping up and down. I I really was, because I saw it go, and then he started contesting that he tapped. He started saying he won, and I
Yeah.
was like, "No, no, no, he tapped. He tapped." And they said, "Did he tap?" The announcers were just,
Hmm.
themselves kind of like, "Well, I don't know. Did he tap? Did he tap? We'll have to look at that." And I was like, it was clear that he tapped. And then they did go to the replay, which I was thankful for, because the right person ended up winning that fight. He absolutely tapped.
Yeah.
Um, and he can try and say that he didn't. And I don't think now when he looks at it, he will see that it is no. It was not even very close.
No, it's not.
But it was close enough in the real world time to make people think. But as soon as you slow it down, like, yes,
Very
he
clear.
tapped in a fight that most people thought that, well, I shouldn't say most people, but a lot of people thought that he was going to win that fight if he'd have lasted another second.
Hmm.
Turns out, judges said no, Jakob was going to win anyway. But what a fight. It was, you know, he, Jakob's never going to give up in a fight, I
Nope.
don't think. He's going to stay in it till the bitter end. He's always got a shot. Um, when he jumps Gilly, you better watch out. He's not like it, some of these other people that do that. He can put you out. So, not
Nah,
naming
he,
any
he got a good
names.
win in there. He got a good win in there, and I think we have our questions about if he would have won or not. It doesn't matter. He pulled it out at the
Yeah.
last second. Um, that's all we'll really care about going forward.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see him get a step up in competition, or maybe somebody else that he could work.
Yeah. And
Uh,
to be fair, that does worry me a little bit for him.
yeah.
Now he's young, so
Hmm.
if you look at a lot of these champions, they've got close fights. They've got fights they should have lost. Um, if we'd have just reviewed Gleason Tebow versus Khabib, we might say, well, maybe Khabib's not ready.
Yeah.
And then he goes out and dominates every other opponent he has.
For the rest of his
Um,
career, yeah.
yeah. But you know, um, as it stands now, you know, it's a little iffy, but
He
he
looks
should
like a
go
big
up. He,
bantamweight too. By the way, he looks bigger for
yeah,
bantamweight,
yeah, he's
which
long.
will be in his
He's
benefit.
he's long. Hmm.
Yeah. Wang Kong versus Eduardo Mora. Now look, I did a little bit of research on Wang Kong. She
Yeah,
hits like a truck.
yeah,
She's a puncher. I like my punchers.
yeah.
Um, her ground game is the worst I've ever seen in my life. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. I sent a text to a friend of mine because she had Eduardo Mora dead to
Hmm.
rights,
Hmm.
arms under chin, trying to lock in. I don't even know what she was trying to lock in still after watching this. Literally, Eduardo Mora with any other person attempting
Yeah.
a submission is probably done there. Wang Kong just couldn't figure it out.
Mm-mm.
She couldn't get the arms to work to do what she needed to. Hand under there. I mean, she already beat her to a pulp at that point,
Mhm.
right? Like, which she had her moments. Don't get me wrong. Mora, the reason I still come out of this fight a Mora fan, very nifty on the ground.
Yeah.
Very nifty
Yeah.
with the throws. Like,
Mhm.
even beaten and bruised, she was in there, like,
Yeah.
finding different angles and working the body weight and getting Wang Kong on the ground. Again, Wang Kong's no ground specialist. She was getting tossed around fairly easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I was definitely impressed by the grit of Eduardo Mora.
Yeah.
Um, if Wang Kong goes to Weili Zhang's camp and say, all right, let's work on some ground stuff. Let's get right. She could be a problem for
Yeah.
she could be a problem for her weight class because her striking is top tier. Her hands are top tier and she
Yeah.
hits very well. Right? I think she had a close match they said with Valentina in kickboxing back in the day. Um
Mm.
but she punches like a truck. She just has zero
Yeah.
ground game and that could be developed to a certain extent. She has enough defensively.
Yeah.
Just the offense is just oh my gosh.
Well,
I've never
that's
seen somebody
she.
try to lock in a choke for 45 seconds with no resistance and can't do it. Like,
Well, she's got to be somebody who is going to put the offense on her hands,
yeah,
because if she grappling is one of those sports that takes years to get good at. This is not one of those things you start and then you're super good at 2 years later. For the average person, there are
yeah,
examples, but for the average person, this is not something you do that fast. Um, Hands you can develop a little faster, at least enough for MMA, not necessarily high level boxing, but MMA is not, let's not kid ourselves. It's not the same thing as boxing.
no, yeah,
But if you wanted high level, she's already got high level hands. What she needs is defensive wrestling and good ground and pound. You can develop the balance for ground and pound a lot better than you can.
mm-hmm,
Learn some submissions and stuff like that. Be developing your game, but the focus needs to be on that, you know, wrestling defense, the grappling
mm-hmm.
defense, and then getting to positions where you can ground and pound because she can win fights that way. If she
She
would have
can,
gotten Mora into a spot where she could ground and pound her for those 45 seconds instead of trying to do a choke, that fight would have probably been over.
she did. She could have turned her on her side. She could have just kept punching her.
Yeah.
But I don't know what made her possess. You know what? I'm gonna go for the whatever the heck she decided to
Hmm.
go for, and literally Mora just laid in it. Like she just laid her
Yeah.
head in it, and she's like, you don't have this. I'm just gonna.
Nope.
And
Yeah.
that was it. I just watched that happen for 45 seconds. And I just remember like she's pulling, she's yanking, like she's never done a choke attempt before.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It was just odd to see. Just throw them punches, throw an elbow. Like
Hmm.
do what you're comfortable with. But she got the win.
She got the win. Yeah.
It was at a catch weight because both of them missed weight. Uh I think Wang Kong hits hard enough where she could go up a weight class in
Uh,
the women's rankings because when you're as skilled as she is on the feet, it could take you really far. Especially with
yeah.
some of these skilled strikers at the back end of their careers,
Hmm.
supposedly. Right? You look at the Valentinas, she's not at the front
Yeah.
end. Nunes is
No.
gone, trying to come back. Um,
Yeah.
Rose is we saw what Rose is recently. Like a
Hmm.
lot of the people you really, really put in the like echelon of you should fear to go in there and strike with them.
Yeah.
I think they're passing. I mean, there's some strikers that I like coming up. Obviously, one's on the next card. We talked about. She's opening the next card out of Louisiana. Her name
Hmm.
evades me again, but I'll tell you in 30 seconds. Carly Judice, right? She's one of those strikers
Yeah.
that is very creative and it looks natural for her.
Hmm.
People like that coming up through the rankings, but in terms of like the experience that Wang Kong has in other fighting practices, and I think she can
Yeah.
make some noise now. Maybe
Yeah.
try to run through some people now. I think you give her Mackenzie Dern, she could sit Mackenzie Dern down. Not to be,
Yeah.
you know, hyperbolic. That's just what I kind of see. Um, in her comfortability on the feet. So,
But
um,
if Mackenzie took it to the ground, it's
oh no, it's
over.
over. If
Yeah.
Mackenzie gets her on the ground, it's over. Which,
Yeah.
for all the crap that I give Mackenzie Dern, um, she's skilled enough to take a couple punches and then
Yeah.
do a lot of what Eduardo Mora does and kind of just
Hmm.
anaconda wrap her up.
Yeah.
So
And
great
she's
fight
tough
though.
enough to do it too.
No,
So
for sure. Great fight though.
yeah,
I've seen
honestly,
Dern take damage.
I was impressed with Morris' durability in
Yeah.
this. I think she clearly won the second round,
Hmm.
and
No question.
I thought she was close to getting a finish in that second round, and she never could pull it off.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, she just couldn't do anything in that third round or first round really, and just kind of got beat up. So,
A lot of
um,
gas in that second round, man. It's tough.
yeah,
She was
mm-hmm,
working. She was working that second round.
yep,
Yeah, hard to come back from that much effort.
yeah,
And then have to get stood up and yeah, nah. Still a good effort though, you know.
mm-hmm,
I give credit for that, and I think there's still some fun fights out there for Eduarda. 12-2 is definitely nothing to scoff at. You might look back at it and be like, okay, yeah, Wang Kong was one of those ones.
yeah,
You had a moment, you just weren't able to get the job done. Um, this next one is definitely a confusing one based on a couple of results that came out of it. Javid Basharat versus Gianni Vasquez.
mm-hmm.
I don't think we discussed this one pre-fight because we had a different opponent for
We had a
Javid
different opponent. Mm-hmm,
Basharat initially. Gianni had to fill in on 48 hours notice. It was
yep,
at bantamweight. Gianni missed weight. Basharat was furious by that. They get in there. Basharat wins the first round running away, I feel like.
mm-hmm,
Um, it has a knockdown, is having moments. Gianni comes out in the second round and gives it back to him. I think Gianni had the second round going into the third. Javid just kind of, you know, applied
yeah,
enough pressure and kind of cruised in the third to win by decision, and then gets cut for that
yeah.
performance. Um,
He finally got a win, and they cut him.
15-2, bounce back win. Gianni is somebody who's viewed very highly in the UFC hemisphere. I realized because he's on
Mm-hmm,
lower, obviously like lower promotions, but he's somewhat of a knockout artist. He has good
yeah,
hands. Um, Javid felt one of those punches, and it was very close to
mm-hmm,
being trouble in that round too. But he bounced back to prevail. He stayed in the fight. He didn't run the entire fight. He didn't wrestle the entire second and third round. I mean, he did have moments where he was going for takedowns a little bit, but he won
yeah,
on the feet. And I think it was an interesting fight. It was an entertaining fight, which is kind of
mm-hmm,
what the UFC's pushing for this new Paramount
yeah.
era. And he still gets cut. Not to overlook your view of what the fight was, but why did he get cut? I need to know why he got cut.
I honestly, I don't think they believe in him. I think it's that simple. Um, he lost his first two fights. They gave him somebody from, you know, coming into the UFC. He's newer, young fighter, 48 hours notice, and he won, but it wasn't very
Not
convincing. The
convincingly.
other the other thing that we can't take into account is we don't know the business side of this. So I'll say this. He was making noise publicly about his opponent missing weight. He was lucky to have an opponent. If he said the wrong thing to the wrong person, um, he might have wrote his own check with his mouth, and we don't know that. I mean, that's clearly just speculation on my part. But the thing is, like, you win the fight and then you get cut. It does call for speculation. Whether it was just that they don't believe in his fighting style. Maybe this kid comes in, he's got all the charisma, he knocks him down, he almost wins the fight. You're on you know, a two fight skid. You won the fight, um, but you really didn't prove that you belong there. And it could just be that simple that um, they don't believe in him. And I feel like they don't believe in him like they believe in his brother. Otherwise, he'd be there. Um, Yanni has all the charisma in the world. That man has all the confidence in the world. He needs maybe a better manager. Um, maybe not. Who knows how those talks went down? But you take an hour on 48 hours notice, and you don't make weight. It's 48 hours notice. You should have talked to him ahead of time and done a catch weight. Um, but he took the fight. He got penalized. You know, um, Javid should have been happy that he got a fight, and he's not going to get another one anytime soon. So not with the UFC. Um,
You know,
my only thing is I could say they probably just they don't believe in him. Maybe something was said, and all that controversy about the missing weight and all that, or maybe it wasn't. But for some reason, they're not picking him up. Not only is his brother somebody that they think is possibly going to be a superstar,
yeah.
but they're pushing him pretty heavy. He's 15-2. He's got 2 losses. You usually don't
One
cut
to
somebody like
somebody
that.
who's pretty highly ranked too. No,
If I were to f if I were to speculate, I would say it's something outside of the octagon that caused this.
I mean
That's
maybe,
just
man.
my speculation on it. Because
I mean
otherwise a
maybe.
15-2 fighter, and he's coming off a win, no reason to cut that guy.
No reason to cut that guy. And again, the fight
So,
was entertaining, right? Like
it was. It was. Yeah.
you got your money's worth in that one.
Yeah. Oh,
No one came out of
yeah.
that fight like, oh my gosh, I don't want to see him fight again.
Yeah.
Put himself in harm's way, right? I think he fought a more entertaining fight than King Green fought against um the guy who filled in against him on a week's notice, right? I forgot the dude's name already. He has another fight coming up also. But his dad fought in the UFC as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, that was a
It's
horrible
not
fight.
Griffin. Is it Griffin? It's not
I think
Griffin,
it
is
might
it?
be Griffin. Now you're gonna make me look.
Because he's a junior. His dad has the same name.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Um, I think that was the last ESPN card, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Um, I gotta go look. I gotta see. Yeah, Lance Gibson Jr.
Gibson. Gibson.
Yeah.
So
Um,
close. So close.
the fight we watched this past Saturday was better than that one. Um,
Mhm. Yeah.
and King Green's still around, right? I get
Yeah.
there's a little bit more to it, but it's just reasons to pause is all.
Yeah.
Reasons to pause. Who knows? It might be good for Basharat. We might see him again in a couple years. There's stories like
Yeah.
that over and over and
Because he
over
is the
again.
younger brother, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So he does still have time to develop.
He does. And he might go over there and, run amok in a different division, not division, a
Uh-huh.
different promotion.
Yeah.
Um, and then the UFC might come knocking with
Yeah.
a bigger offer, and it just wasn't your time initially. So
Right.
good win. At least you go out on a win. You can't say it was because you got worked and they
Right.
kicked you to the curb. You went out on a win. So we'll hear from you again, I'm sure, Javid Basharat. Just an odd situation.
Yeah,
Um,
it is very odd.
yeah. Bruna Brazil, Ketlin Souza. Now, I didn't realize when we were covering this that Bruna was a fighting nerd.
Mm.
Um, I don't think she realized she's a fighting nerd either though, because
No.
again, the fight strategy was interesting to me. Like she had moments on the feet where she was being successful. She just seemed not willing to stay in danger to exchange. Because when I say she was on her horse when Caitlyn was closing the distance, oh my goodness, definitely got her steps in there. Um,
Yeah.
Running out of exchanges, forcing Caitlyn to be the aggressor, put her up against the cage. Not crazy damage, but
Mhm.
more significant strikes, better moments. I went into it thinking Bruno would win. By halfway through round one to the back end of round one, I was like, yes, yeah, this is going. So I quickly switched over to the Ketlin Souza side. She did not
Yeah.
fight a great fight. Neither of them fought a great fight. Ketlin was
Yeah.
just the aggressor, and won based on that, based on being on the front foot. Uh, we talked about the great women's fights on this card. I almost forgot about this one.
Yeah.
That's how it kind of got tossed to the side. Win for Caitlin Souza. I'm not interested to see either of them fight anytime soon. No, that sounds harsh, but I just watched people who are supposed to be way less skilled on the early part of the card give me way more exciting fights.
Yeah.
Willing to put themselves out there, willing to take some damage. Bloodied and battered, still putting on an amazing bout. I did not see
Yeah.
that in this fight. And for
No.
that reason, I am out.
Out on both of them.
Out on both of them.
Um, you know, looking at the statistics in this tells an interesting story because you were halfway through the first round, you already switched sides. You knew who was
Yeah.
going to win the fight. Um, statistics there almost dead even in
Mm-hmm.
everything because Bruna had a good first round. even if she didn't win, she had a good first round, statistically speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you can see this is one where you can clearly see Souza taken over. But the final, when you look at it, which is one of the kind of warnings to not look at total strikes for the whole thing, because this
Mm-hmm.
goes round by round.
Doesn't tell the story.
And if she is, crushing the first half of the first round and then doesn't do anything the rest, she still might have higher numbers that round.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of the fight, Souza closed the distance, but she won 2 rounds in that. And so, um, very, very interesting. That my biggest takeaway, honestly, was the stats on this, because it wasn't a fight that really was something I want to watch over again. It's not something that I'm like, let's go watch the next Bruno fight or the next Souza fight. I mean, I'll watch it because I like to watch fights, but yeah, I'm not going to go out of my way and be like, this person is the next big thing.
She
I
doesn't
didn't
make
see
it on
that
my
out of
Fighting Nerds concept card.
not even on the concept card.
Not even on the concept card.
Not even an early prelim.
Nope.
Dang,
Mm-mm.
she just kicked off the team.
Not even Fighting Nerds contender series. Not even. I don't
It's
want to
like
see
she
it
went
again.
and got contacts or something.
Yeah.
She's not allowed to wear the glasses.
She's not allowed to wear the glasses anymore.
Yeah, I
Lead
think
runner
the
in the Fighting
statistics in
Nerds
this.
marathon, though.
If you need a fight to show you how the statistics will tell you, will kind of lie to you in a fight, it's this one, because it's going to show you that the fight was super close.
Yeah.
When it wasn't.
No.
Unanimous
decision, wasn't it? Yep.
I think it was. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Unanimous decision.
Yeah. It wasn't
And
a
yeah,
split
you look at that
decision or
control
anything.
time, but like,
I mean, 65 total strikes to 64.
Mhm.
Bruno won that. Had more significant strikes or more total strikes.
more total strikes. Yeah.
Takedowns, they were the same. Significant strikes. Souza won by 2.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at that, you're like, oh, looks like a very close fight. Not a close fight.
Not a close fight.
Anyway, that's kind of my thing. It's kind of an example of one of those things where like when people say, oh, well, he outstruck him, he did this. That's not the whole fight. So anyway, that was my biggest takeaway from that fight, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, we have to go to the next fight.
Look. I want to make my decree. I'm still a card-carrying holder of the Nico Price fan club.
I am too.
Brother.
Retire.
Brother. Oh, goodness.
Retire.
Nico, go be a dad. Nico, please. I'm sure somebody's hiring. I'm sure somebody's hiring. Shoot, I'm not gonna put out there where I work at, but like, if I need some help, come join the team, Nico.
Bro.
I'll pull the app. I'll bring you in. Like, brother, no way, man. What I watched in there, I was like, all right, look, I'm telling everybody I'm on the Nico train, posting videos, posting clips, follow the TikTok that I'm on the Nico train. And I stick to my guns. I'm still on the Nico train. Still love that guy as a fighter.
Absolutely.
So much exciting moments.
Yeah.
I was blinded. There was no way he was going to be Nikolai Veretennikov. And I said it didn't make sense, but I didn't expect it to be in that fashion. Brother, out on his feet. It looked like abuse. I didn't know it was a
what
fight.
Happened to him.
He didn't know what happened to him.
No, he was wondering why they stopped the fight.
Put pause on him.
Mm-hmm.
And he just left standing there, like shocked. He didn't even like hit the mat, nothing. He leaned up against the fence a little bit. And then he was like, where am I? Essentially. Like, oh gosh, it was so sad to watch because from the first exchange, I was like, ooh, I didn't like that. Like, and it wasn't even anything really landed. I just saw the complete lack of defense that Nico approached the exchange with. And I was like, if this is the game plan, like, I don't love it. And lo and behold, Nikolai Veretennikov by round 1 finish would have paid the bills pretty comfortably. And it makes sense. And I'm not mad at it. And I'm not mad that I rode with Nico Price.
Well.
Yeah.
He was late to the fight. He didn't have a camp. I think that showed, honestly. I do
Oh,
think that
is that
showed
what
that he didn't have a
we're
camp.
putting it on? Him
Look,
not having
I'm
a
not
camp?
saying that that's why, but what I
Okay.
am saying is I think it had its effect.
Okay.
It did. I think it did. I think it did. I think
Yeah.
reaction
I don't
time.
know how much amount of camp. Look, Nico has not been reacting well for like at least the last 5 fights.
Okay,
He got
I wouldn't say 5 fights.
didn't Robbie Lawler put him Robbie Lawler's not a
Yeah, but
fast
that
dude
was only
anymore.
2 fights ago.
That I feel like that makes
That
my
was
point
2
even
fights
more.
ago.
Like that was
I
he got
mean,
knocked out by Robbie Lawler 2 fights ago.
yeah. Yeah, he did.
Like if I'm being honest, like if I'm not a fan of Nico Price, the story and the things I've
Yeah.
seen him do, if I just look at it from a watcher of MMA perspective, there is no way I should have had U.S. currency on Nico Price.
I mean, look, Veretennikov has not been setting the world on fire himself. You
He
put
fought
they're
an
the
up and
same
comer
age. They're the
and
same
looked good.
age. Um,
He's taken punches from people
I
and survived.
I could see where you look at this fight going into it, and someone who's a huge fan of the one can bite on that. I could see that he has a shot to win, that he's got a shot to shock the world. I could see that. I
We're
know
talking
that
about shocking the world
because
against Nikolai Veretennikov. Do you
I mean,
hear how
okay,
crazy that sounds? We're talking about shocking the world against Nikolai Veretennikov.
shocking the world was a bit far.
But that's what it was. We were talking like it was some huge like.
Well, that's because we like Nico Price so much. We like Nico Price so much. We like the way he fights so much. We wanted the best for him. We wanted him to come out with a
Clearly,
win.
we didn't want the best for him. We told him to drop out.
I think we both did after his last one. We were like,
Yeah.
come on, hang it up.
Yeah.
We've been calling for that for a couple of fights now. He keeps fighting, and that's his choice. If he wants to keep doing that, then he can keep doing that. Maybe don't do it at this level. Maybe do it at a lower level where you can, maybe pull out some victories and things like that. I'm surprised he didn't get cut after this. I could tell you, unfortunately, I've seen one other person get knocked with that look on their face, and that was Ronda Rousey when Amanda Nunes
when she was looking
put it on
around
her.
like
She was still standing up,
I
but
remember that.
but
she
the
just had
way
the
that
like
she was
she had
on
the
her
Bambi
legs,
legs and then she just stood in the middle of the octagon like
that's kind of what he looked like up against the fence.
that's true. Yeah.
He was cold out on his feet.
Yeah.
He was on his feet. He actually didn't go down, but he was so out of it.
He actually might have been an early stoppage.
No. Was not an early stoppage.
He never took a knee. He never went down.
But to
he was
his
recovering
credit,
against
though,
the fence.
he did not go down, and he will always be able to say that in this fight. He did not go down.
He didn't go down.
He went out, but he did not go down.
Gosh, man. I don't know.
My man, always pulling out
Always,
the
man.
unexpected.
He made a moment. Was part of a moment, I should say.
He was,
If anything, he catapulted Nikolai Veretennikov into the realms of maybe some potential fights that could lead to a little bit more of an even playing field.
Yeah.
Like I said, we discussed Veretennikov getting that win on the up and comer from Argentina, younger fighter who just didn't really have the fight IQ to pull out the moments where he was ahead.
Yeah.
I feel like they're going to give him a similar fight again, potentially, to have him test another newcomer. Good win for Veretennikov. They said it was his first big moment. Some of the guys he's training with apparently are like killers, If I'm not mistaken, they said he also trains with the Ukrainian who beat Neil Magny on the last card that was on ESPN, I think. I think he's a part of that training group. And that Ukrainian is a monster too. Also a late bloomer. So who knows? Maybe we're underselling what Veretennikov could be in the UFC still.
Yeah.
I know at 37 it's up there in age, but at welterweight, there are some quick welterweights. I don't think we're in the range of like put him in the top 10, put him in the top 15.
No.
It's not like heavyweight, but he definitely had a bit of a moment, and congrats to him. But Nico, We
Hang it
have
up.
signed cards.
You know what
We
I
love
would
you.
like to see? You know what I would like to see Nico do? I'd like to see him commentate.
No,
No?
no,
Why?
no.
You
I don't
wouldn't
need to
find
hear
that
Nico.
entertaining?
I don't need to hear Nico trip over his words because of
You,
all the
you,
stuff he's done the last couple of years.
nah,
I'm
nah, nah.
sorry. I'm
I, I,
sorry,
f- I
but
think he would have some interesting opinions about some of this.
Mario Bautista has a future in commentating.
Yeah,
That guy
yeah.
shines sharp on the mic.
Very,
Dustin doesn't
very
sound
sharp.
too bad. Dustin's doing okay. Um,
Eh, I mean,
Michael
yeah, but
Chiesa is a good speaker on the mic.
yeah,
Not mad at Michael Chiesa. Even Rob Whitaker, fun. He was a part of this team for this
yeah.
card. I could listen to him talk all day. I love Izzy. I don't want Izzy talking on the mic. Too cringy for me.
He's very cringy.
Yeah, Volk would be a good commentator
Yeah.
when
Mm-hmm.
he's done. Like there's certain guys you can feel it, you can hear
Yeah.
it even when they speak. Volk has a good personality. His YouTube channel, I watch him cook stuff.
Yeah.
Volk's fun.
I've never seen his cooking, but I've actually thought about it last time when we were watching in the build up to his last fight. I was like, maybe I'll turn on his cooking channel. I
He's
like to
cool.
cook.
I like the way he speaks about, and he's passionate about food, which is cool, especially from those guys when their, relationship with food sometimes a little bit, blurry.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
It's cool to hear him talk about his recipes and be excited about something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm not a part of the Nico Price on the mic thing. I'm sorry.
Well,
Love the fighter Nico Price to death, but once it's done, it's done, brother.
maybe a podcast where he can put out whatever
Oh
opinions
yeah,
he has.
and it's
Maybe
probably
a
gonna be him and
podcast.
Sean Strickland or something crazy like that.
Oh,
And I'll
I
tune
don't
in for
know
a
if he'd
couple
be.
episodes.
I don't know what any of his opinions are. I just think he'd probably be, he'd
I know. I
probably
just think
be
they're wild boys. I'm not even
entertaining.
talking from like a political standpoint or like,
Yeah.
I just think both of them, the style of fighting, Sean's a little bit more defensive, but they both have that like gritty aspect to their fighting. I feel
Yeah.
like they could
Yeah.
bond over that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
stuff, I don't know. I'm,
I
again,
could see him shooting fireworks off together.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. But yeah, hang it up, Nico. And this isn't from a hater perspective. Again, when people ask me one of my favorite fighters, I've watched a lot of UFC. I bring up Nico Price still.
Mm-hmm.
Even after
Yeah.
I watch you get zombified, I still say Nico Price is one of my
He
favorite
is.
guys
Yeah.
to watch. So, yeah, we talk about him not getting cut. The fighter who did a lot for the UFC in the next fight did end up getting cut. And I think it's very disrespectful to this guy, but let me not jump too far ahead. Alex Morano, Daniil
Donchenko.
he is a guy who's also training with the Ukrainian who won last year.
The Ukrainians have some good fighters coming.
They do have some good fighters coming up. He took a step back, I think, a little bit in terms of how he's seen with that killer instinct. But he showed patience. He showed tactical awareness to wear down his opponent. Morano showed grit. He showed heart because he didn't really have moments where he's winning. I mean, back into the first, he's essentially spitting blood at Daniil Donchenko after getting absolutely massacred on the ground and pound. Again, some other ref might have called it. It was that bad at certain points. Survived the first round. Survives every round after that. Doesn't really have big moments. Tries to go on the front foot a couple times. Daniil was just tactical, smart, and pulled out unanimous decision. Didn't do much, I think, positive for his stock, but didn't negatively affect it too poorly. And Morano, I thought, came out of it looking, awesome for what it was. He was supposed to be finished in the first round, according to everybody who was covering the fight. He was not. And to be rewarded with, retirement fight is what he asked for. And Dana White said kick rocks. So I don't know, man. Another questionable cutting. And it leads me to believe, like, what are we really putting stock in? Because we're not giving guys the swan song for what they've done for the company. Because Morano had no business fighting Daniil Donchenko, but he took that fight, right? We talked about the Javid thing earlier, where he wins and he looks good and he does what he's supposed to do, and he's 15-2 and he gets cut. And then we go back to a card ago where I watched Tai Tuivasa huff and puff, and two guys stand in front of each other and go, and not throw punches. Him and
None.
Teixeira looking at each other, sitting next to each other against the cage, like, whew, man, we had a spar, didn't we?
That was
And
such a
neither of
terrible
them
fight.
get cut. We're
Yeah.
okay with Ty coming back from, glorious story, cut a lot of weight, decided to get back into fighting. Ty had his moments, the shoey, the cell, like, it's cool. Ty has
Yeah.
not had a moment in the octagon that warrants him still being a part of the UFC.
I'd agree with that. Although when they go to Australia, they
Tickets. No, I get it.
want somebody from there. Yeah.
Tickets. I get it. Right? But, like, based on merit, he does not deserve to be in the UFC anymore. But
Yeah.
he's there. And we're going to talk about a guy who I'm not a fan of, who's the sixth ranked heavyweight, who's also not a part of the UFC anymore. We'll get into that later. But we talk about a guy who did the sweat equity, went in there, bad knee. He was wearing a knee brace. So Donchek immediately saw that and was like, all right, I'm kicking that. Like,
Yeah.
that, even if nothing's wrong with it, why is there something on it? I'm kicking that. So he
If
kicked
you
that
have
over and
to
over
put
again.
on a knee brace, don't go in there, and just don't go in there because your knee's automatically a target.
And it was. But again,
Yeah.
he hopped around, swapped stances,
Oh yeah,
couldn't
he's
stay
tough.
on there, swapped back, right?
He's super tough.
Still threw punches, still stayed active again. Not to crap on King Green and Junior, but better fight than that with way, And all he asked is for a retirement fight, man. He didn't ask for a new
He's
contract.
had a long career in the UFC too.
Exactly.
He hasn't had a short. He's fought Nico Price twice. He did no contest the first time, and he lost to Nico the second time. That's actually what started his 4-fight skid, was a loss to Nico. But he's been there a long time. So to have him in there for that long, he stepped in on short notice. He's done, he's been a company man. He's durable. He's put his stuff out. And to hear, because I didn't know this until you just told me before we got on here, to have him ask for a retirement fight, it doesn't even have to be a headliner, just have him fight one more time and say, this is going to be my retirement. I think it would have been a good gesture. It's not necessary. The company has every right to cut him if that's what's in the contract and they've got that. On the other hand, it would have been a nice gesture to give him that. Although maybe they don't feel like he's as big, he's enough of a star to warrant that. He's definitely not going to get a headliner like Dustin Poirier got.
No.
Like, nobody's saying he should. They kind of started these, I think it was Uriah Faber that kind of started these retirement
songs,
fights.
like farewell tours.
Yeah, but with somebody that's been there for so long, he knows it's coming to the end. He knows it. You know it. Y'all are sitting at a table. He asks you for a retirement fight. He's like, look, I know I don't have it anymore. Let me get one. Just one more time to retire.
I think it goes into like a different thing, though. Like, as a company, I feel like not everything needs to be about the dollar or the bottom line or what you could bring in. Or if people put sweat equity, right? If people are with you for years, and this goes through multiple layers of business, not just the UFC, right? Like, people joked about the John Cena thing with the WWE, where his last fight, they had him lose to whoever they're trying to push as the next star, right?
Yeah.
You gotta give some people some form of like a thank you for everything they invested. And that goes across multiple forms of business.
Yeah.
Not to get to like, but like, there's so many times you hear people giving their years in service and not even a handshake, right? Like, I feel like that's what they did to this guy, because they put him in there against a killer and he wasn't killed.
Yeah.
He pushed more or less stood in front of him for 3 rounds.
Yeah.
And didn't say, all right, I'm going to just take the easy way out. Which, again, the week before, a fighter that I still hold in high regard, but I lost a little bit of a feeling towards, Derek Lewis, was in there against one of your young killers. And when he found the way to get out of that fight, he said,
he took it. Yeah.
And didn't get up. Like, so I know Derek Lewis will get a swan song.
Yeah. Yeah, he will.
right? Like, it's just odd to me to see again a guy who I don't think ever asked for that much. I'm not behind the scenes, but
No,
I've never heard of Alex Morano holdouts or
no.
asking for
Mm-mm.
more. Just go in there and fight. You just went in
Yeah.
there and fight. And I feel like you kind of take those type of people for granted when they help build your company up,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
many moments did you sell off of Nico Price beating them? Because Nico Price was supposed to propel off of him, right? Or like stuff like that. Guys that propel
Yeah.
their careers beating Alex Morano. Yes, he got beat, but he was in there to fight
Mm-hmm.
and gave you opportunity to make moments. It's just odd to me. It's just odd to me as a company as big as the UFC is, selling it for as much money as you did. A guy wants
Mm-hmm.
a swan song on a prelim, give it to him.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Unless he was saying he wanted to headline or something. If he was calling for something like that, like, but I don't know, you know?
He'd have to be, if he's that far gone,
Yeah.
then he probably has a brain injury and you should cut him.
Yeah.
Because, like, even in the height of
Yeah.
Morano's success, you could call it, he's not
He,
headlining.
no, no.
He understands that, right?
Yeah.
But,
Well,
like, you'd hope he
you hope.
understands that.
Yeah.
But, like, it's just, I don't know. I don't know, man. Again, with the Javid thing and then his thing, and then the guy we'll
Mm-hmm.
talk about later, there's some questionable cuttings.
Yeah.
And I think we got to start asking questions. Is this an entertainment business? Is this a loyalty business? Or is this the
Yeah.
best of the best business? And what do you qualify as best of the best? Right? Like
Well,
where does that line go? Is it a mix of how you provide an entertaining fight but also win? Or is it a mix of you are the most skilled at whatever you're trying to do and you gain wins? Like,
yeah.
we'll get there. But he loses. Daniil moves on. I think they should give him a tougher challenge.
Yeah.
Not
Oh,
getting
yeah.
rid of
Yeah.
Alex
Yeah.
Morano is how I view Ian Gary not getting rid of, who was it, Neil Magny at the time, where he just beat him up for 3 rounds instead of getting him out of
Mm-hmm.
there. I had questions after that. You're going to have to prove to me, like, this wasn't just I couldn't do it. Go out there and prove it against some better talent. So
Yeah.
he looks like he could be a unit. Good win. I need to see more. The next fight, though, I was highly impressed by Dustin Jacoby on short notice.
Yeah.
Durable, kind of an old school light heavyweight. I swear he was in heavyweight the way he looked in there.
Yeah. True. He's a thick
He's
guy.
big. Yeah.
Yeah.
Julius Walker had a good round 1. Round 2
Mm-hmm.
started to get away from him once he got caught with something heavy. And for some reason, the referee wanted him to die in there. Because, golly, the punches, they rained. And then he got dropped, and then he popped up, and then he got
Yep.
dropped, and then he popped up, and then he got dropped. And then eventually the ref's like, all right, I think I've seen enough. After shaving 2 years off of Julius Walker's life, he called the fight. These guys trained together, I guess, at one point. Decided, like, why not go for it if we have a short notice fight?
Yeah.
Dustin was down in Australia waiting for his fight. His opponent dropped out, flew back on short notice, didn't have to cut much weight. They fought a light heavyweight.
Okay.
Dustin got the dub. Dustin looked good. And the light heavyweight division has a little bit better killers than the heavyweight division. So he can find himself in a good fight up at the top of that range, maybe top 15 range. He's an older guy, so it needs to be quick. We need to get him there. So maybe there's somebody on the back end of the 15, maybe back in the 10 that they're willing to give him. But good win on short notice for Dustin Jacoby. And Julius, I mean, tough loss, but for a bit there you were hanging in. You were impressing me.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's the end of the world for Julius. I just need to see how he recovers after, you know, taking all those knockdowns. What says you?
I say take a little bit of time off. And by a little bit, I mean at least 6 to 8 months. You took a pounding in there, which that happens sometimes.
It does.
It's not the end of a career,
No.
but you need to make sure your brain is right before you get in there again. He's going to do what he wants to do, but I would tell him, wait a little bit. Don't jump the gun. You've got plenty of examples of people who went out there and got a second thing, and now their career is, on the skids because of it. Give yourself time to recover. Get out there and get back into it. During that time, probably take a few weeks off. Just don't do anything because your brain has to recover. And when you get back in, ease back into it. When you start running, that jostles the brain. When you start doing jujitsu, that jostles the brain. When you're throwing punches on a bag, that jostles the brain. So you need to stay away from that if you're going to have a good career, I think, after getting beat on like that. This was actually one that I called that could go this way. I think I went with Julius Walker, but I said it's very easy to picture Dustin Jacoby catching him with a punch
Mm-hmm.
and
You
flooring
said you
him.
didn't think it would go the distance, just based on both guys being
Yeah,
somewhat
yeah.
heavy-handed, and you were right.
And, it did go with a different guy than I thought would get it. I thought that given Dustin Jacoby's age and the youth of Julius Walker that, you know, he would he would probably be the one to get it, but Dustin Jacoby proved me wrong. And even though I called it to not go, I did say that he was gonna get, he was gonna get a shot at catching him, and if he caught him, it could be rough. And he did indeed catch him, and it was very rough.
It
So,
was indeed rough.
Dustin Jacoby, you know, who do you give him next? Do you think he moves up?
Give him Jamal Hill, man.
Good one.
Jamal Hill needs to get
I
right.
second
If we
that.
believe that Dustin Jacoby is the spot where is the range where Jamal Hill could try to regain some
Yeah.
confidence, you give him that fight. If you feel like Dustin Jacoby is a guy that has an ability to make a run, Jamal Hill is a name to add to the resume right
Mhm.
now before it
Yep.
becomes a bad name to add to the resume.
Yeah. You get him now.
Catch him in that window before he loses that shine. You know what I mean? I think
Mhm.
that's a good fight to make. I don't know who I picked to win currently. Maybe honestly, probably Jacoby, but I think it's a good one to make. What do you think? Who would you give him to fight?
Yeah, I like your Jamal Hill one, to be honest with you. I like that
Nice.
call. I think that's better than anybody I could think of because, I mean, I'm thinking probably lower end of the 15s.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm not sure where Jamal Hill sits right now, but just given
Probably
the
like 8, if I had
career
to guess.
aspect he's had,
Mm-hmm.
he needs a fight to really get his career jump started, and Jacoby needs somebody to make a name off of. I think that's the perfect fight to book.
Yeah, I'd be with that, honestly. Um, Again, for Jamal Hill, if he really believe, I don't want to say if he really believes in himself, because obviously he isn't too far removed from fighting for a belt. But you need big wins and you need big moments right now to
Mm-hmm.
get back to make back some noise. And even if that
Yeah.
means, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, he's 7 right now. Yeah, for sure. I think, yeah, Dustin Jacoby's currently 14 now. So that's not even that crazy. 7
No.
fighting 14.
Yeah.
I like that. You put him in his place. You reassert yourself if you're Jamal Hill. And on the flip,
Yeah.
Jacoby takes out somebody in the top 10 and rockets past a couple guys that,
Mm-hmm.
again, he's older. He can't fight 2-3 fights to get past those guys.
Yeah.
He's probably aiming to get there as quickly as possible. So yeah, I think that'd be a good setup. We'll
All
see
right.
if Dana has my phone tapped, because there's some moments on this card where I feel like Dana had my phone tapped.
Yeah.
Um, this was not one of those moments. Fareed Basharat versus Gene Matsumoto. Now, let me hear your take on this fight before I go into it, because I watched this fight very intently, and I came away with some, you know, perspective. What's his you?
Interesting. This was actually, I can't give you too much on this fight because this was a fight I didn't see.
Dang. Okay. Well, I could give you a lot
So
on it.
I had to run out in the middle
Yeah.
of this fight card, and this is the fight I did not see. I
Dang.
did catch the speech at the end,
Yeah.
which was interesting
Yeah.
because I feel like this was a very controversial fight with the judging.
So when we talk about damage meaning a lot in fights, I think this
Mm-hmm.
is a good example, because Gene Matsumoto was the aggressor, in my opinion. Gene Matsumoto
Mm-hmm.
had better moments, I think, in the fight. Gene Matsumoto was quick, was durable. I thought had better stamina. Um, Gene Matsumoto was wearing a very bad cut on his face
Mm-hmm.
from, I think, an elbow from Fareed. And if both of these guys are clean faced going into the decision, I think Gene Matsumoto wins this fight. I'm not gonna call it a robbery, right? I think it was close
Yeah.
enough. I think the damage really sold it though. And how the damage was done. Yeah. But outside of that moment that Freed had, yes, he stayed in front of Gene. Yes, he had some significant strikes. He had significant strike success. Had 4 higher significant strikes. The way you grade that second round is really where it's questionable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Honestly. I feel like you could have given it 29-28 to Matsumoto, just based on activity. He had more control. He had better takedowns. He had
Yeah.
very minimal lower significant strikes. Again, I watched the fight, so I'm not just looking at the stats.
Right.
One guy was foot on the pedal going forward consistently, even after
Uh-huh.
taking that damage, and one guy was counter striking it and still in the fight. But outside of the cut, there were very small moments for Fareed, as I felt like Matsumoto was really, again, showing that stamina, creative striking,
Yeah.
giving Fareed a lot to think about. I think he got away with one again based on damage. Um, I left the fight a Matsumoto fan. I left the
Oh
fight thinking
yeah.
Matsumoto has a bright future,
Yeah.
even though he lost on the cards. I saw a guy that, reminded me a little bit of Kai Kara France in certain ways,
Mm-hmm.
um, which is another fighter I kind of like. Um, just a little bit stockier,
Yeah.
Energizer Bunny type. I don't want to give him the Kiyoshi Haraguchi because that dude is,
No. Mm. Yeah.
there's few guys built like him, but
Yeah.
to take that damage on the face and take on the fight in the way he took on the fight, I'm not gonna call it a robbery, but I was definitely on the Matsumoto side, and I definitely want to see more Matsumoto fights after this, as opposed to
Yeah.
really Javid Basharat. I said Javid Fareed Basharat. Um,
So that's actually good to hear because in the build up to this fight, I
yeah,
referenced a fight he had with Johns before
yeah,
where the commentators were commentating one thing, but he looked like he was getting beat.
hmm
Um, Based on that, I picked Basharat to win this because I thought it would catch up to John that he starts off slow
hmm
and he builds up as the fight goes. I
hmm
thought giving away that first round would hurt him. When I look at
might
the
have.
statistics, and I have to apologize because I had forgotten I'd stepped out on this fight, um, and I didn't actually see this fight. But looking at the statistics, it looks like he didn't start too slow in this one.
Mm-mm.
He started and just kept it up the whole time. Okay, all right,
I think you go back and watch it. Obviously, this pod's going to be going on for a while. We could reference this fight again in another one.
yeah,
Maybe the next time Matsumoto gets on a fight card, or the next time Fareed gets an
yeah,
opponent, or the next big fight at bantamweight. Because again, there are a couple guys on here. Obviously the Jacob Muin fight, and then we have
mm-hmm,
Mario Bautista. There were some bantamweight fights on here where you feel like some of these guys who lost might see one of these guys who wins, and vice versa.
mm-hmm,
So there'll be moments to talk about it, and I know you'll rewatch it, and we'll probably talk about it off the pod. But if it comes back to being on the pod, we could discuss. If I just saw it through, I didn't have U.S. currency on this one. I know you guys might think I'm blinded because sometimes I throw a little dabble out, but no, this one was just solely tuning in and trying to see what both guys had.
yeah,
Um, and I was impressed by what Matsumoto did a little bit more and the gas tank that he had, especially for the
yeah,
bantamweight division. I feel like if he could keep that activity up and maybe not wear the damage the next fight. Um, and like you said, in most situations, the commentators seem to be on his side. 17-2 losing to an unranked, not an undefeated fighter isn't the end of the world. So
no,
we could have a
no,
bit of a recovery opportunity
yeah,
for him there.
yeah, he
Um,
should get a chance to recover.
100%. He will. Um,
Fareed's brother might not, but John will.
nah, nah. They don't give the Basharats a second chance. Apparently, you better stay winning or it's over for you.
That's right.
Fareed got on the mic and talked about the Bash brothers, being 2-0 on the card. Well, brother,
Yeah,
UFC
on the
didn't care
card
about
they
that.
were.
Yeah,
On the
on the card
card
they
they
were.
were. Yeah.
You guys won't be on the card for a while. It seems like though. So,
Nah.
um, this next fight was a pretty entertaining fight. Michael Olajeszek versus Mark Andre Barriault. Now we said that Mark Andre would be there to be hit. He was. Very durable guy though,
Yeah,
and I
this was
think
my
we
favorite fight on the whole
yeah
card.
it was a great fight. I think we took for granted the fact that he stood in there with Shara Bullet,
Mhm.
and withstood all that damage and
Yeah.
gave Shara Bullet a run for his money. And we just thought, Michael's been putting people out.
Mhm. Yeah.
Michael had to earn this one.
Yes,
He
he
had to
did.
earn this one, and he
And
did.
it's Yeah, I was curious to see how he would react. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, you're
Um,
right.
I was curious to see how he would react when his hands didn't get the knockdown
Yeah.
or didn't get the knockout anyway.
Hmm.
Andre Barriault is s- so durable
Hmm.
that he withstood it, and you could tell, he was getting tagged in there. Um, but to Michael O's credit, he didn't let that frustrate him. Some people, once you give them their best shot, your best shot, and they take it, and
Hmm.
it doesn't hurt them, it hurts your psyche.
Yep.
It didn't seem to hurt his psyche. He was like, "All right, well, I'm just going to hit him some more, and I'm just going to hit him some more, and I'm just going to hit him some more." And but
He
he
just
had
kept
to
putting
fight
it
for
on.
this one, and I thought this was my favorite one back and forth. I think Michael clearly won the first round,
Hmm.
and he was the aggressor on through. And I think what one of his takedowns at the end of this one that kind of sealed the deal on
Yeah.
this. He got a couple of late takedowns that really kind of sealed it for him. Um,
Unanimous decision is not crazy.
no.
Um, Again, Burial was very durable,
Hmm.
but it was a clear win by Michael Olashishek, and he's on a bit of a run, man, and he got tested. So, what's
Yeah.
next for him? I think you challenge him, man. Middleweight. There's some guys at the back end. Give him Marvin Vettori. That dude has a chin. Um, you know, I think that's a good fight. Um, they haven't fought before yet, right?
Who? Vittori?
Yeah, and Olashishek.
Mm, I don't
I
know.
have to
You
go back
checking
and
that
look.
now?
Yeah, no, they haven't fought yet.
Okay.
Um,
While you were checking that,
yes,
we had this fight go as fight of the night.
it did.
The Jakob Wicklet's fight got
Hmm.
a performance of the night,
Yes.
and then the main event was the other performance of the night.
Yeah, it was a good performance by one guy. Yeah, we'll
So
definitely talk about that.
well, it's showing that Jakob Wicklet's got one of the performance of the night bonuses. His opponent did not.
Yeah,
Um, and so the same thing with the main event.
sweet, sweet.
Obviously the winner got it.
Yeah,
But this was fight of the night. So have they fought?
no,
Ola Jacek?
but I think you could
No?
give. I think you could give him Vittori.
Yeah.
I think you give him Costa if Costa's like, obviously Costa's on a little bit more of a run. He's going
Mm,
the opposite direction, so
yeah.
that's a tough one to try to make. But the Vittori, I feel like again is that window. If you're trying to get right, Vittori, show that chin, show you're still a level above Michael Olajeszek. And for Michael, taking Vittori's chin potentially, or dragging him into deep waters and getting a decision where you beat him up
Yeah.
would be good for your obviously your resume, but good to kind of show you where you rank against the top 10, top 15 ish in middleweight, man. So um maybe even a Robert Whitaker. Like that's also an
Yeah.
opportunity out there for you, depending what they want to do with Rob. Um, Coming off of the loss that he came off of to Rainier DeRitter, right? So um, a lot of
Yeah.
opportunities out there for Michael Olajeszek.
Is
Not that many. Oh, you go ahead.
is Robert Whitaker going up to 205? I thought I heard he was going up to light heavyweight
To do what?
to fight.
Why?
I think the weight cuts. I'm gonna look it up, but I think Robert Whitaker came out and said that he was gonna go to light
So you're
heavyweight.
telling me there's a world where I could see Jan Blachowicz fight Robert Whitaker?
Robert Whitaker teases move to light heavyweight.
I could
He's
see
currently
Alex.
eyeing a move to light heavyweight.
I could see
Yeah, it
Alex
looks
Pereira
like he's
fight Robert Whitaker.
Robert Whitaker 90% sure his next fight is at light heavyweight. Isn't that interesting?
There's another guy who was rumoring to move to light heavyweight,
Oh yeah?
but unfortunately he's moving to Ryzen. Jalton Almeida versus Rizvan
Nice.
Kuniev, man. Yeah,
Very
the,
nice.
the the
Your boy.
whispers were he was gonna go back down to 205 because the heavyweights are heavy.
The
Newsflash.
heavy and this one proved that the heavyweights were
The
heavy.
heavyweights do be heavy. Um
Rizvan Kanayev, he was a last minute taker too, wasn't he?
uh Jalton was a last minute taker. Jalton took this again. Jalton was the company man. Took this on short notice. Popped in.
Does not
to
always
save a
pay to do
fight.
that.
And guess what? He did what Jalton does. He hugs. He looks look. I sometimes envy how little athleticism I look when I move around in my daily life. Right. I think the worst thing, worse than looking unathletic and maybe having a little bit of athleticism to you, is looking like the most physically gifted person in a octagon and you are uncoordinated. You look awkward. You
Mhm.
look like you should be able to punch a hole through a wall and you can't even poke finger through wet paper towel. You are ridiculously. I just
Yeah.
kept getting frustrated watching him fight. And again, I think Dana had my phone tapped because after the first round, I was like, "Can we send him to
Cut
Rising?"
him.
But
Cut him.
it was like a joke. I was like, "He's doing what he does. Like this shouldn't surprise anyone, right?" But
Yeah.
like, you're way faster than Kanaev.
He's so
Use
oh
that
yeah.
speed.
When he
Kick,
started throwing,
punch.
he was
Exactly.
winning. He was
Kanaev
winning
had
the
to wrap up
exchanges.
and he's leaning on you on the fence and the ref's doing you a favor. He's breaking it up. Unlike when you were laying on top of Volkov 2 months ago,
Yeah.
the ref's breaking it up and giving you opportunities to do something. Do something,
Mhm.
Jalton. Throw a competent punch. And you look like you've never thrown a punch before, ever. It just looked so awkward for you. And I think this goes back to your judo conversation with those guys who are used to grabbing the what do you call it? I'm not a
Yeah, the
judo
gi.
guy. Yeah,
Yeah,
grabbing
the
the
gi.
gi and they could work the gi and they don't
Mhm.
necessarily have to worry about all the martial arts. Again, it's MMA. It's mixed martial arts. Mixed.
Yeah.
And they seem to focus very heavily on what they're comfortable in, which I understand. And we'll give Boucher a little bit of a leash because it's new. But Jalton didn't do you any favors coming
No.
down and looking like, again, a unit.
Yeah.
Right? And I know people think at this point they think I might just have it against guys who could look chiseled on screen because I also talked down on Cyril Gahn. But if it's one thing Cyril Gahn could do, it's walk forward and throw competent punches. Right? Like, yes, he might lack other things in his game. That gives me reason to kind of talk down on Cyril Gahn a little bit. But he can throw a punch, and the
Yeah.
punch looks competent, and he's put a lot of people out. Right? And I think my frustration with him is just a little bit more commitment. And he's probably the best heavyweight that ever was based on his measurables, right? He just doesn't have the tools that you say like a John Jones or those guys have. He doesn't have the
Mhm.
natural tools, but in terms of physical build, he could do it. Jalton
Yeah.
Almeida is supposed to have the tools. You tell me
Yep.
striking is the easier one to develop, right?
Yeah.
What is he doing in his free time?
He started boxing at age 6.
Does he? Is he
That's
7? Because it looks like he's only been boxing for a year. Like,
bro.
I
That
don't get
doesn't mean
it.
he did it this whole way through, but it
Brother,
reading his
you
page, it
started
looks like he
6.
did it. He started at 6. He picked up jiu-jitsu at 11. Started doing mixed martial arts because his training partners were doing it. Yeah,
If he picked up boxing at 6, he put it down at 6.5. That's what I'm learning right now.
I don't know when
I
he put
don't.
it down,
He
but
definitely put it down because the
if he
punches
had
I
it,
saw coming across did
if
not look like a boxer.
I'm gonna tell you, he got himself cut, which everybody I think knows that. Um, he was the most inactive fighter I've seen. It's one thing if you are Carlos Prates and Leon Edwards gets you against a cage and you give that bored look while he's hitting you in the face, right? Because you're an exciting fighter normally. Jake Jilton Almeida had no business sitting against the fence doing absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. He was not even trying to get out. He wasn't even trying to get out. He wasn't trying to defend the position. He wasn't trying to better his position. He was just
Mm-mm.
laying against the fence for basically 3
Accepting it.
straight rounds. And the funny thing is, when he did throw punches, as awkward as they were, he was winning the exchanges.
Mm-hmm.
And he just refused to engage. He literally fought a fight refusing to engage. And if the Volkov fight wasn't the one that sent him over the edge, this one definitely was and should have been. Because if your game plan is to squeak out victories by
By
just
top control.
being on top of them, That's not what the UFC wants. And the UFC, as much as you say, not you, but as much as people say, well, the rankings don't matter and this doesn't matter, and they want exciting fights and you know all those things that you want to say, the UFC is a company who wants to make money. They will let the number one, what's the weight class that has Manel Cop, that has the guy in there who they just released last year?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Um,
Is it featherweight? It's featherweight.
it's the one that
Uh,
Pantoja just lost the
yeah.
title in Van.
Lightweight.
Flyweight, flyweight,
It's
right?
flyweight. Yeah,
Yeah.
flyweight. Yeah.
Um, Dana White said, go fight for another organization and be the best flyweight in the world over
I
there,
don't care.
because you're not going to do it in the UFC.
Got rid of Mighty
Um,
Mouse.
yeah, they got rid of Mighty Mouse when he was probably the best fighter, skill for
Hmm.
skill out there.
Got rid of Mighty
Um,
Mouse. Yeah.
it's a company where they want to make money, bottom line, and you cannot be. They also happen to be the best company for fighting with the biggest talent pool,
Mm-hmm.
at least the biggest top end talent pool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you're not going to continue to go out there with the game plan to just be on top and smother people without
Nope.
even even the Russians try to submit you. Even the Russians try to advance their positions. They're on top and
Mm-hmm.
it's top control and it's boring, but they're at least trying to win a fight. He's
Or
not
they're
even
gonna
trying to
let
win
you
a
up and
fight.
then spear you again. Like we talk about the
It,
Hamza situation.
yeah,
He'll
this
wear you
guy's
down.
this guy's game plan was to not fight. I'm gonna
Yeah.
it was just, I'm not gonna fight because I'm not gonna let you hit me, but I'm also not gonna hit you. I'm just not gonna fight. His game plan was to stop the fight, but not in the way normal people stop a fight. Maybe he misunderstood that part, and once he understands it, maybe he'll be a monster. But you can't just you can't do that and expect to have a job the next day in the UFC.
But to play devil's advocate, to be the sixth ranked heavyweight on a week's notice, to save a fight, to go in there. And again, Kunaev didn't do anything to really show us much. He survived for 3 rounds, right? For you to do that favor as a company, man, when you know you're already on a hot seat and you get rewarded with being cut, that's kind of sucky business too. What message are you sending to the other fighters? You
Well,
know what I mean? Like, and again, I am not a card carrying member of the Johnson Almeida fan club. If anything, there's few people that was, I don't want to say elated because that's very mean. I don't want to watch people lose their jobs, but it's a national holiday for me.
yeah,
That the release day of Johnson Almeida, if I'm being honest.
right.
And I still don't think it's right though. Like it just feels wrong. Even though
Okay,
it wasn't entertaining, even though he wasn't doing what he was supposed to do, if he's a sixth ranked heavyweight and he is stepping in on short notice, he at least gets one more camp to prepare for a fight, to go out there, to set the tone, and hopefully do what you signed him to do, right? You
okay.
give him Josh Hogan, who you know is going to like punch.
But if you're out there, if I got on the podcast and you know on the podcast I'm supposed to talk.
Mm-hmm.
There's two of us here, so maybe I'm
Yes.
number two.
Mm-hmm.
But mm, if I get on and I just sit here in front of this and I got my headphones on and I just listen, but I don't really say anything. This, I mean, that's kind of what he did. He went out there and he just didn't do anything.
But if I called you 6 hours ago and I said, hey, look, I know the first thing we ever tried to record didn't go well. And I know I gave you no time to prepare, but I need you in 6 hours to get on this podcast. And you sit across from me and I at least have somebody shaking their head
Right,
at
right,
things I
right,
say, right? And I'm
right.
like, all right, I'm going to give you one more chance to get this right because you really saved me here. Instead of me just being on the screen by myself, talking at myself, you gave me a dance partner. Might not be a great one, but you're there, right? I got to give you an opportunity where I'm like, okay, we're gonna prepare show notes, and we're gonna
Yeah.
try something, and then if you come out the next time and you crap the bed essentially, right? You come out, you just sit there again, and you shake your head and lose everything we prepared for. Then I could be like, all right, this isn't gonna work. But you saved me.
Right.
That's what Jalton did. He saved the Kanaev fight.
Well,
That was a pretty high. That's the third fight on the main card,
it's the third fight in the main card. It's not a main
and
event.
he's ranked.
He is ranked because he has beaten some
People.
he's beaten some good people, but he's also
Oh
lost to some of the best people.
yeah. I mean,
And
that hasn't stopped other people from still being
I
on the
mean,
on the
right, but those other people are
promotion.
entertaining.
All right, I
And
get that.
if this is his third fight where they're like, "Hey, your last two fights, you didn't do anything. They were the
That's
most
true.
boring fight on the card.
Yeah, that's true.
And the last one was so boring that you lost.
You won, but you were so boring that you
You won the
lost.
fight, but the judges couldn't even justify giving you the fight
That is,
because
yeah,
of your
that's real.
inactivity.
That's real.
We're going to give you another shot. It's going to
You
be
allowed
this
Curtis
week."
Blade to get a KO win, by the way.
Yeah.
That
It,
alone is a cuttable offense.
we're gonna give you another shot. You're gonna take on this Russian. He's unranked, but you get a shot to show us that you can be more active in a fight. And he goes out and does that. I mean,
Again,
last
you can
minute or
see it. My
not.
face is dry. I'm shedding no
I mean,
tears. Like, I'm just saying I understand.
I mean, you know, you took the fight. You said you were going to go in there and fight. You signed to go in there and fight, and then you went out and, for the most part, didn't fight. He had a few exchanges with the guy, and that's really it. You know,
You live and you learn. You
yeah.
live and you learn. Um, I
I
think he could be a fun fighter in Ryzen. I know I was joking, but you put him over there with Patchy Mix and the other dropouts, and put him against like some competition that's probably more comparable, and you probably get Jalton Almeida looking like a superstar. It could happen, or you put him, you put him in a promotion where he's forced to fight, like Karate Combat or something, maybe. But
well,
like, this ain't it for him.
he was completely dependent on the referee to break that up, which is sad because he's supposed to be more. He's supposed to have all this
Physically imposing.
grappling pedigree, and he was able to just be held against the fence and not able
Correct.
to get off or flat out refuse to get off, which I think is more the case. I think if he would have actually put in the effort, then he could have gotten off the cave, or he would at the very least look like he was doing something to get off the cage, and he wasn't. And you
He
can't
did
tell me
that.
Kanaev is that good. Yeah, you
He
can't
did
tell
that
me
a couple
Kanaev
times.
is that good after that fight.
No,
He might be good, but I don't think you can judge it off of that fight.
I
So
take Josh Hokett to beat him right now.
who's that,
Like,
Kanaev?
yeah,
Well, I think I said last week I would take Josh Hokett to beat Almeida.
yeah,
Uh, you know, um,
yeah.
so when you got guys coming in, it's their first, second fight, and they can beat the number 6 guy. The number 6 guy is not safe.
This is true. It
So
is what it is, man. It's a tough way to go out. Um, Maybe you make a bounce back. Maybe you figure it out.
yeah.
But I think you could still be something big in another promotion, and that's coming from somebody who's not a fan. Um,
Oh,
so
he's talented.
yeah,
I think it's the head game in this case. It's not the physical tools. I think he's got the physical tools.
I think he's talented in certain practices. I still don't think he's a striker naturally. I think it's uncomfortable for him, and I
Yeah,
think
probably.
it shouldn't be as uncomfortable as it looks.
Yeah.
Um, you know, but I digress. I'm done. I'm
Yeah.
done crapping on Jalton. I protected him a little bit, but this is definitely a bit of a kick him while he's down situation, and that wasn't necessarily what I was going for. But I'm not sad about it either. So,
Kick him while
um,
he's down.
a guy who did get cut came back, is running rampant through the promotion is Hiraguchi, which I still don't understand why he got cut. That was before my time. Lost to Mighty Mouse, and I guess they hated Mighty Mouse so much they're like, if you lose to him, you're
Yeah.
gone, right? But this man, Renaissance man, is
Mm-hmm.
He is electric.
Yeah.
Stamina, crazy. Creative striking, put a beating on Amir Albazi.
He was
Man, oh man,
so
oh
much
man.
faster.
So much faster. Not even a question. Amir had nothing for him.
Mm-mm.
He was just there to kind of play. And if they're heavier guys, Hiraguchi puts him out. Um, Hiraguchi said he did sustain a little bit of an injury, a wrist injury in there.
Mm.
So we'll see how that delays him potentially trying to
Yeah.
get at Joshua Van, who is in a corner going, I want to fight. And apparently the UFC's holding him out. My
Why would they do that?
White House card is my guess. They either want to try to get Pantoja to
Is that
fight
going
him
to
on the
ruin
White
the
House
first
card.
half of this year?
100%.
Everybody holding out to fight.
Anything you want, anything you aspire to be as a fighter, um, is on delay for that White House card.
So I'm not going to look at any
So
fighter.
yeah,
I'm not going to look at any fighter any worse for holding out for the White House card because it is, the way they're billing it is it'll be a huge card to be on. But I am definitely going to respect the guys that fight before that and
the
say,
thing
give
is,
me whatever fight whenever and
Van is
put me
talking a
on
big
that fight.
game. Like Van
Yeah.
is making it seem like it's not him.
Yeah.
While Manel Cop is like, I signed the contract. Why haven't you signed the contract? So who's telling the truth, right? But
Well, there's,
everything is coming out that there's so much things being laid for the White House card, potentially Tapuria, and Gaethje. Connor is back in the testing pool. I know how much you love that. Um, John Jones apparently is hearing whispers that he could potentially sneak his way back onto a potential White House card. Pereira wants to be on the White House card. A slew of things, just a bunch of rumors going around. But one thing we do know is Van is on the bench and he's not getting a fight currently. And Hiraguchi is waiting to heal, but he's putting himself in the mix to fight for that flyweight belt. And I
mm,
don't see why not. Obviously, you got to give Manel Cop his flowers. He's up there as well. I don't think you really need an
yeah.
eliminator fight. You might have to go Manel Cop before Hiraguchi. Or if Pantoja's back, can you really just say, oh, yeah, we're going to
If
skip Pantoja? I
Pantoja's
don't think so.
back, he'll
I think
get
you have
it.
to give him an opportunity to get that back.
It's amazing how fast things change
Right?
because Horiguchi is still he's ranked number 5, and we were talking just not long ago, not necessarily me and you, but the talk was that Tyro was going to be in there and fight,
He's
and
still
then
in
it
the
was
mix, yeah.
Manel Kape, and
Yeah.
Brandon Royval's still ranked number 4.
Mhm.
So there's plenty of opportunity.
Mhm.
I think if Joshua Van is ready, he clearly didn't sustain an injury during his last fight. If he says he wants to go in, let him go in. There's time for him to go in and fight and still do the White House card. And honestly, I'm
That's
not
if you
convinced the
believe
White
in
House
him.
card is going to be as big as what they say it's going to be. I
It's
will
things are
say
going to fall through.
that when we did this, I think that I called Topuria versus Gaethje for the title, didn't I? On the White
The
House
first time
card.
we made the White House
I
card,
think we did.
it's
I
a bit of
think
a
I called
flashback.
that to be
We
a
might have to go
headliner.
check. We might have
Maybe
to
not
go
the
check.
headliner because my headliner was John Jones Aspinall. But
Yeah.
Gaethje Topuria, I think, was the fight for. I might have to listen to that
I
again.
think I had
I think
Patty
I
versus
called
Top.
that. You might have.
I think I had Patty versus Top, so I won't, But I don't know. We might have to go through the history books. There'll be time to talk
Yeah.
about it. I'll go back
But
and listen to that one. But
I don't see why they hold him back from that. There's time. There's time to do both. Unless you're saying you want because he's an American.
I don't know if they believe in him. I think that's a struggle. And he's American. And I'm not trying to be.
No, but he
I'm
does
not trying to
represent
be.
his native land.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Like, he's not necessarily like. How big do I want this podcast to get? he's not necessarily the type of representative they're looking for that type of card. And I think we both understand what I'm trying to say without using words, right?
Well,
There's a
I'll be honest with you. I feel like, and I don't think it's a bad thing to say. Our political system is what our political system is, and sometimes it touches fighting, and sometimes it doesn't touch fighting. I think they want an American fighter,
yeah.
that is a champion, and he is the only American fighter with a title outside of Kayla Harrison?
Uh-huh. See,
No,
Kayla Harrison is who they
Mackenzie.
want on there.
Yeah, yeah.
No, Mackenzie
Because
Dern.
Mackenzie Dern's Brazilian, even though she lives in
Aha.
America.
Exactly. Mackenzie Dern has the accent. Mackenzie Dern isn't the 250th anniversary of the of America representative champion on the card. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it is a negative
Right.
by any means. I'm saying that's what they're looking for. You might
But
see it as a negative, you might see it as, but they want Kayla Harrison on there. They're hoping
right.
Sugar Sean has a belt. If Sean Strickland wins a belt between now and then, which he's not, obviously, but if Sean Strickland could have gone in there with a belt, they'd like that. Shoot, John Jones is questionable,
Yeah.
partially because of his history, right? Because of all the stuff he's done in his past. But if John Jones could have had the belt and taken it in there, did like that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
right? You know, the
Yep.
All American, either from a sport like football or wrestling,
Mhm.
that's what they're looking for. Things that kind of
Yeah.
echo that, you know, All American boy type thing.
But
Mackenzie Dern don't
because
really fit it.
Joshua Van is uniquely American in
Yeah.
every sense of the word, he's also first generation.
Yeah.
No, he was born. Was he
Was he
born in
born over there?
America, or was he born over there? I think he was born over there. I think he
I
came
don't
over
know
here
for
when he was
sure.
very young.
I don't
Um,
know for sure, but like, I think it'd still be a good story personally. Like, if I'm making the card, if he's able to get on that card after again starting off as a prelim fighter to a champion at the end of the year, however he got it, and then he goes in there against Pantoja and beats Pantoja at the White House card, like convincingly beats Pantoja at the White House card. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Like America was an underdog nation initially,
yeah,
right? Before it was a powerhouse, historically speaking. So wouldn't that kind of like set the tone for what we're trying to do for the 250th anniversary of the country? That's just my, outside view looking in. But I don't know if that's who they want necessarily up there. I think it would be a great story though.
I think it would be a great story. Um,
Um,
I
but
think they could put him on the White House card. Um,
I'm definitely siding with you that it's going to be a lot less big than expected though. I
I
am.
don't. Yeah, I don't think it is, and I would not be surprised if you had a lot of fighters that just for some reason or another found a way to not fight on that card.
Yeah,
They're not
I can
necessarily
see it.
going to tell Dana no because they know how good of friends he is with Trump, but
Yep.
maybe their feelings for him make them have an ouchie in their elbow and
An
not be
ouchie in
able
the
to
elbow.
perform. Um,
Yes.
yeah, it honestly, I don't know if he's a citizen or not. He, he's American. He was born in Myanmar. Um,
Okay.
and then they moved to another spot they moved to Malaysia, and then from Malaysia they moved to America. So he is uniquely American, I would say, and probably the type of fighter that you want to put on your card to represent America
Yeah,
for obvious
I think it would be
reasons.
good. Yeah.
He might not be, but if they're holding out for him, maybe they are. Um, he loves McDonald's. That's. I mean,
I love it. I love
when
it. He loves
when
McDonald's.
well, when Trump had Clemson to the White House, what did he serve him?
Yep. Yep.
McDonald's. Loves
Yep.
McDonald's.
All
Joshua
American.
Van might just be the person that they want on there. Um,
I get
but
there's a storyline you could sell.
outside of the
There's a
politics
storyline you
on
could
that,
sell.
outside of all
Yeah.
of that, um, Hiraguchi should be fighting a top tier contender, and fighting for the title is not out of the realm for him. If Van is willing to come in and fight, um, Cup, Tyra, Horiguchi, I think those are the three. One of those three gets the title shot. The other
And then
two
the other two fight each
faces
other.
either them or Brandon Royval.
Yeah.
Um, and poor Brandon Royval. He's up there with killers now. and it's going to be. I mean, he's number 4. I'm sure he doesn't care. I'm sure he's not saying poor Brandon Royval, but I don't. I don't know that. I don't know that he gets a win over here Horiguchi. I wouldn't put him up there.
That Van fight was a gamble, man.
Yeah, and he
There was
just
so
lost to
much to
Cop.
win. There was so much win.
Yeah.
There was so much like potential there if you won it.
Mm-hmm.
He knew what he was fighting for. They probably
Yeah.
told him, "You do this, you get another shot at Pantoja." The risk was worth it,
Mm-hmm.
and he was right there. And how quickly does it switch, right?
Yeah.
Because you
Yeah.
that now what?
Yeah.
2 losses against the 2 guys up ahead of you.
Yep.
One's a champ,
And
one's probably
Horiguchi
fighting for the
right
belt
behind you,
next.
and nobody wants to
And
touch him.
you probably don't want to touch Hiraguchi because I like punches. I'll be able to see a lot of them if those 2 fight. So, yeah, man, tough way to go, but I think that flyweight division is getting a lot of influx of talent, which is needed. They keep trying to get rid
Yes,
of it.
very much. They
And
need to
now
stop
you have
trying
some
to get
killers
rid of
up
it.
top that make it. Cap gives you that knockout ability that you're
Mm-hmm.
not seeing from the division.
Yep.
Van gives you the creative striking and the volume of striking. Hiraguchi is creative on all fronts.
Yes.
Um, and not necessarily a power puncher, but he puts on damage with his punches. And then you got Royval, who's lengthy, and
Mm-hmm.
even with what he's got going on, he's still a problem for that division. So great things for the flyweight division, man. So
Yeah.
it's still
Really
exciting.
good.
Hopefully we could get them on some big cards coming up. We could get some things fleshed out and get Van back in there to defend the belt the right way. Talking about doing things the right way, though. Mario Bautista versus Vinicius Oliveira. And you're probably wondering, what do you mean by doing things the right way?
Mm-hmm.
Going into a fight camp and bragging about being up 30 pounds with 4 days left before the weigh-in, in my opinion, is not doing things the right way. And we talked about Vinicius Oliveira and his creativity and his power punching
Mm-hmm.
and some of the things we love out of seeing this guy. One thing I did not love was that
Yeah.
bragging about essentially being a weight bully. And then it backfiring on you
Mm-hmm.
heavily, at least from a stamina perspective, when you get in there against Mario Bautista, which if it's one thing that he seems to hang his hat on is hard work.
Yes, it is.
Um, it doesn't seem like he's cutting a lot of weight to get in there. Very chiseled, very in shape,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. He's gonna come prepared.
very prepared, calculated,
Mm.
underestimated consistently,
Yes.
right? Um,
I do every time.
Yeah, I did to a certain extent. I thought that his best path to victory was to stretch this thing out and win on a decision.
Mm-hmm.
I think Vinicius did not have 5 rounds in him, and I think Vinicius knew that very early. And I think round 1 he went out there and I won't even say he put his best foot forward because
No, I don't think he did.
he threw punches. He stayed somewhat active in that first round, but he didn't do anything that made me go, "Oh, Mario Batista narrowly escaped round 1." And now, thank God Vinicius is winded. I think Vinicius was winded just existing in the octagon in round 1, which, when you deteriorate your muscles in your body to cut 30 pounds in a week, those are some of the repercussions, in my humble opinion. I am not a weight cutter. I'm not a wrestler. But that doesn't sound natural to me, especially when you're built the way these guys are built. And guess who's bragging about being over 170 pounds already again today? What are we doing, people? I don't know. And I mean, we talked about the inactivity from him and the type of fighter he is and how that could come back to bite him. And it did. And I don't think it's a lack of activity necessarily this time. Again, he was very winded. He just was not as skilled as Mario Batista. And watching what we watched those rounds, what was it, a round and a half?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, a round and a half. Well, almost 2 complete rounds. Um, Mario Batista probably wins that way, or wins very similarly, or even worse in a lot of those exchanges. Because again, Mario Batista's been in the ring the octagon against the top of that division.
Mm-hmm.
Mario Batista's talking about the 1 or 2 things he could have tweaked to beat Umar Nurmagomedov. There's
Yeah.
levels, right?
Oh
Vinicius
yeah,
Oliveira is
yeah,
headhunting unranked people and making highlight moments off of guys who are nowhere close to touching the belt. And
right.
Bautista is literally trying to fine tune things to beat probably the second best or third best person, or in some people's eyes, the best prospect in that division. And I think I didn't put enough stock in that.
Hmm.
And I would assume that you looking back at it now didn't put enough stock in that. Um, and he showed his grit. Brilliant move on the ground to get the sub.
Hmm.
Vinicius was never going to get out of that situation. He's very
No.
under skilled on the ground game still. And I mean, he's a young guy, and I think going up a weight class would be good for him and healthy for him. And I think he has enough power to survive going up a weight class. Um, and maybe he'd even be able to be a little bit more active and build a little bit more stamina by going up a weight class. Uh, but I think he needs to take some time to figure that out. I don't think we come back and hop straight into bantamweight again after the performance we saw here. What says you,
Yeah.
sir?
Okay. So I was actually super glad for this fight to happen. Not only was I looking forward to the fight, this guy's an animal. He's crushing people. I think that you let young guys have a shot early on because sometimes they are good enough to beat the people at the top. Had
Shout out
he
Michael
won this
Morales.
fight, was that Marlon
I
Moraes?
said shout out Michael Morales.
Exactly. Marlon Moraes, prime example. John Jones, prime example. If you said this guy's too young, this guy hadn't fought anybody, let's not give him the big fight. There are people who would still be struggling on a 7-fight win streak, to even have their name talked about it. You give the young guys their shot when they are dominating that lower competition and they look like they pass the eye test that they can compete at the higher levels. Um, and if they lose, you don't keep putting them against the big competition. You let them go back and build themselves again. Otherwise, you end up with a Darren Till situation. So you don't want something like that. So I was happy that this fight happened. I was honestly happy that this fight ended the way that it did, knowing especially what I know afterwards, which was I did not know ahead of time that Vinicius Oliveira let himself get that big in between fights. Um, I found that out actually just before the fight. I found out that he usually is 50 pounds over the weight limit, and he comes into fight week 30 pounds over. That is a clear lack of discipline. Um, and who is, you know, everybody's undisciplined about their weight in a general sense. There are some people that are on it all the time, right? Fighters, though, need to be a little more on it than everybody else, even in the off season. I think that's going to end up getting Patty eventually as well. Um,
I agree.
but
I think Patty does a better job of extending it out, though. I think later in his
yeah,
life he will go up or whatever, but fight week he's not 25 to 30 pounds overweight, at
right.
least based on what I've seen.
Vinicius should have come in probably no more than 10 pounds over. He came in 30 pounds over. That's terrible. We also found out that he had a broken arm at the beginning of his fight camp. So I saw a comment which I thought was kind of funny. It was on some platform where they said, well, I'm glad that his broken arm like hurt his cardio, or but I'm gonna tell you something. Just like the brain jostling, your arm jostles. I don't know how bad it was broken. Maybe it was just a fracture. Maybe it was a baby fracture. Maybe it was just a baby break and it wasn't a full break. But if you can't do cardio for the first 6 weeks of your camp, if you come in 30 pounds overweight, you're not going to be in shape. And the thing that showed me when I started thinking, I don't think he has um that he's ready for this fight was in the second round when he was on his back. And you know how a lot of guys hold their feet up and they're waiting for him? He couldn't even hold his legs up. When you go back and if you haven't seen it, watch the fight. When he's trying to kick at Bautista, when he's laying on his back, his feet are straight out in front of him, and every time he raises them, he can barely raise them. He couldn't even raise his legs up to defend himself in that. He was so done. And I think this is a hard lesson for him to learn. He came into this fight thinking that this just proves that he was right about himself the whole time, and he got humbled. And I think his answer to this, whenever you get humbled like that, because everybody gets humbled in their life, learn from your mistakes, fix the problems, and move on. He can't dwell on it. He's got to make sure that he's got the cardio next time. He needs to make sure to keep his weight down in between fights, which apparently he's not doing. It's going to come back and bite him if he keeps doing it, I think. And for him, this will make me be a lot more cautious when he fights the next time, especially if they put him against somebody good. I'm probably not going to say that he's going to win that fight.
I think a jump in weight is necessary. I feel like
It could be. It could be. If he
what's
can't.
after Bantam? Is it light?
No, featherweight. Yeah,
Featherweight's after Bantam?
he's 20 pounds under lightweight. Yeah, bantamweight's 135. Flyweight's 125, bantamweight's 135, flyweights or featherweight's 145, and then lightweight is 155.
I think he'd be a comfortable lightweight.
Probably.
His frame, to me,
Yeah.
I think he could fight lightweight, and I think he'd be a lot more active in that endeavor. Shoot, and if you go up to what, featherweight, right?
Yeah. If you just went up one weight class, that would be better.
I think that's better. I think you could put him in the mix, not necessarily the Diego Lopez mix, right? Because that guy's active.
Yeah.
Volk obviously is a beast. Probably wouldn't put him in that Lerone Murphy air. Definitely not Movslar Evlov. But like that second tier of featherweights, I could
Right.
see him in that mix, right? Like, and I don't know what the fascination is with being able to cut all that weight and brag about cutting all that weight,
Well, they
right?
feel like it gives them an advantage, and to a certain extent, it can.
It
But
does, but
again,
brother,
I'm
after one round, you are done.
I'm gonna go back to my high school wrestling experience. I had a guy who had been wrestling since he was a little kid. I didn't. I started later, but I was substantially bigger than him. In the off season, he ragdolled me. He threw me around. He pinned me so fast. Not a question. I mean, this guy was so good. Um, but he was a lightweight. He started off the season. I think I was, you know, maybe the first couple years I was like 125, 130, and he wrestled at 103. Right, so I'm substantially a few weight classes above him. He's throwing me around in the off season. During the season, he's so weak. You could push him like a fly. I mean, he couldn't do very much. And as he got older, he had a hard time moving even up to 112 to beat those guys. His and he went on to wrestling college. He was a great wrestler. But he had trouble. He could still beat most people, but the difference in strength between off season and during the season was the difference in beating somebody 30 pounds heavier than you. When you drain your body that much, it is a problem. And some people can handle it and do it well, and some
Some
people
can.
cannot. And it affects people's strength and zaps certain people's strength more than it does others. And if it affects him that much, maybe he moves up. Maybe Dana should force him to move up and say, hey, if you come in that heavy, you need to move up. But he's not missing weight. So what are you going to do?
I guess, man. It's one of those things. I guess it's that gray area, right? Because we're
Well,
talking about
and how big is he? Who was the
performance
bigger
and
person who in that fight? And he didn't look substantially smaller or substantially bigger than Bautista,
no,
you know? So
no.
he feels like to fight people his size, he has to lose that weight. And he's kind of forced into it because the people that are at featherweight, Diego Lopez, Volkanovski, are bigger than him, you know? So where does he have to go to
Yes.
fight, Because everybody does it if it was just one person. So your other option is put on the weight and put it on properly
Yeah.
and go up.
And I think that's the best option for him.
So there was a couple of brothers that did that for the Olympics. And one of them decided that he was going to go up, and I believe it was one of the Schultz brothers. I forget which one it was now, but ended up gaining weight so he could wrestle up, and it worked out for him just fine. Again, that works out for some people, whereas for other people, putting on that weight is very hard for them to do, and doing it and gaining that strength and being able to compete at a higher weight level is difficult where some people are better off cutting weight.
Yeah.
You just have to decide which one it is for you. But if you're 50 pounds over, either take better care of yourself in the off season, or, when you don't have a fight, or move up in weight.
I'm leaning with the move up personally.
As
Great
for the
win for
fight
Mario
goes,
Bautista.
Bautista crushed him. It wasn't
Yeah.
an issue. He complained after the first round that his arm hurt. His coach was just like, I don't want to hear that. You have to go out and fight. And good on his coach. He signed the contract to fight, and he didn't pull out. Nobody would have batted an eye if he'd have pulled out with a broken arm 6 weeks before.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't. He took the fight, and that's what he got. So fix your problems, come back better. If you don't fix your problems, you're going to be short in the UFC and might even find yourself getting cut after a win.
Seen it happen.
Yeah.
You've seen it happen, man. But after, a long night of fights, again, a little bit underwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it ended.
Yeah.
And we're left with more questions than answers for Vinicius. Um, and a newfound respect for Mario that
Yeah.
we need to stop underestimating that guy.
He was
Some
sharp.
guys they get dropped into the wrong era. I won't say it's the wrong era necessarily for him, but to have to pass Umar and
Yeah.
Marab and Peter Yan and even Sugar, right? Because
Yeah.
we give Sugar a lot of crap, but from a striking perspective,
He's good.
he would give Mario a lot of trouble. It's
Yeah.
a tough era to be in that weight class when he's probably one of the better
Mm-hmm.
jack of all trades
Yeah.
in that realm, but he's not really like a plus plus at any of them against the A++ guys. Like A++ striker, Sugar,
Mm-hmm.
probably not Mario. Mario's good, wouldn't put him A++. A++ wrestler, Umar, Marab, Peter Yan. He's right below those guys, right?
Yeah.
Like it's
I'd say,
tough. It's tough
I'd,
for him.
I'd say he's a little below. Um,
Aljamain on that
he's
too.
razor. No.
Oh.
Um, in the wrestling probably, but
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
yeah, but you know, Piotr Jan is a champion there right now,
hmm
and he'd probably still have a good fight with Piotr Jan.
He would.
I don't think he would necessarily win it, but he would still have a super good fight with him.
I mean,
Um,
I think it's. I mean, who
he had
knows?
a
On the right day, Peter Yan's dropped
yeah,
a couple before,
yeah.
so
I mean, he's got to win over Aldo, which I think is what gives people that bad taste in their mouth for him, because for all intents and purposes, most people don't think he won that fight. And he
hmm
got the win from the judges anyway, and that's something fighters have to deal with. It's almost better for them to have get the L on the fight than to
hmm
have people look back and people don't like them because they don't think they deserve the win that they got. Um,
yeah.
but even with that, it was still a close fight. Um, and he lost to Umar. Still a good fight,
hmm
you know? It's razor close, and he's just not over the top yet. But maybe this is the start of his journey to get there.
I hope so, because I
So,
enjoyed what I saw, and
mhm.
I liked his attitude towards taking a fight like this, and his
Oh, yeah.
attitude toward taking a lot of the fights that he takes. Um,
And you can tell he's a
and I
super
think the
smart
story's
guy.
good. Yeah, I think the story's good. I think he's a hard worker, and it's everything that I enjoy about
Mhm.
a lot of aspects of life, and he brings that to fighting. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
not always you're gonna have the most talent again or have all the measurables from the jump, but if you work hard enough, you could build yourself into something
Oh, yeah.
um that people don't really expect. And I
Yep.
give him credit for that for sure. And I wouldn't be mad to see him work his way back into the mix. Um Tough gauntlet though.
Yeah. Very
Tough gauntlet
tough.
to do. I enjoyed that fight night.
Yeah. It was a good one.
Again, a lot of storylines came out of it, which
Yeah.
extended the pod a little bit because, it wasn't just fight and be done. We waited
Yeah.
enough where a lot of chips fell
Mhm.
unexpectedly, where, we were able to come in and talk about it. So, and they gave us a week in between. We knew we weren't going to have a preview this week.
Right.
No Valentine's Day card, which
That's
I
right.
feel like that was missed opportunity at some marketing. Imagine Valentine's Day merch for UFC. I don't know, Dana.
Um,
Tap my phone. I'm just saying. I could have given you a Valentine's Day card to put up, but I digress. Give us a little break. We're back into it next week.
yep.
Another fight night. Strickland versus Fluffy
Fluffy.
Hernandez. There's some good fights on there. We'll be here to
Yeah.
preview that for you. Might sprinkle in a little bit of other fun content depending on how recording schedule goes, but you will for sure get a preview of that card. That we guarantee.
Yeah.
Um,
That
any
one I think
closing
is going to
thoughts,
be
sir?
I think that next week is going to be a better fight night all around.
Okay.
It's going to have a lot more of your contenders, and um, where this one was kind of seeing what the up and comers are going to do versus the veterans. Are the veterans' careers gonna dwindle, or are they going to move on? And are these new up and comers really going to be legit? They've got guys on the next one that are already legit. They've already been tested. These
Mm-hmm.
guys are UFC fighters.
Mm-hmm.
Mid range to upper mid range UFC fighters. Almost all of them. I mean, Phil Rowe is the third fight on there. Jordan Levis the second fight on there. Those guys have been
Good
around for a
fighters.
while, and they're. I mean, that's second fight on the prelims. So this is going to be a good one. It's going to be a lot more experience on this next card. The last one had kind of a mix of high experience, low experience, but the younger guys kind of a um, passing the torch if they can take it kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So this next one though, I think is going to be even a little bit better.
And I'm with it, and I'm
Looking
excited to
forward to it.
cover it next week. Excited to have you guys tune in. But this has been the Art of MMA on the Kick and Post YouTube channel and podcast. Keep subscribing, watching, sharing, commenting, telling us we don't know what we're talking about on these TikTok clips and on these YouTube shorts. We're enjoying the engagement and enjoying that you're enjoying the content. So we'll see y'all on the next one.
On
Peace.
the next one. Nice.